Thanks everyone for joining us for our second session of our Fire Relief Fundraiser. We've got 6 great companies that have made a donation to either one of our suggested charities or a charity of their choice supporting fire relief victims.
So next up, we have Scott Petsel from Metallic Minerals. The company trades on the TSX-V and on the OTCQB. As always, today's presentation will contain forward-looking statements. You can find out more about those on the company's website. And if anybody has questions, there is a Q&A box at the bottom of the screen you can enter your questions into. All right, and with that, I would like to introduce Scott. Hello, nice to meet you.
Magda, nice to meet you as well. Great to be here today.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. So I understand you have a presentation to share with us today.
Let's get that queued up and we'll go right into it. So again, my name is Scott Petsel. I'm president of Metallic Minerals. We're going to talk today specifically about metallic and our key assets. Metallic is primarily a silver, precious and base metal explorer developer. It's at a growth stage with 3 key assets in North America. And so we'll talk more specifically about that as we go. But right out of the chute here, I'm going to point out that this drill rig shown in this photograph is on our current drill site on our La Plata project, where we're drilling the second hole of a 5,000 meter program to follow up on the spectacular results that we had from our drilling last season that led to a resource announcement or a resource expansion announcement here in July. So we'll get into more of those details, but just to give you an idea of what the ground looks like at our La Plata project in Colorado, and the fact that we're ongoing with this fantastic drill rig that we've got at site currently. So as the previous 2 presenters, Mike and Tim, both mentioned from Stillwater Critical Minerals and Granite Creek Copper, I just want to reiterate that the 3 companies are part of the Metallic group of companies, which really is a collaboration of these independently traded exploration companies that share a common strategy and approach to the way we do business, which was to acquire brownfield assets in low price cycles, de-risk those through the application of systematic and modern exploration, and build resources in areas that have existing infrastructure that should be easy to develop over time. One of the key things about the Metallic Group is the fact that we're able to share resources, as Tim mentioned recently, below the CFO level. Our employees are all shared costs between the 3 companies, and that really allows us to have a more expanded technical team with greater skill sets that we're able to allocate to the various companies and projects as those skill sets are in demand. And that allows us to maintain a very high level of technically competent staff at that point, but also save costs for the companies when they're not actively working for our company, say Metallic Minerals, at that moment. Metallic is really based on a team that has had a great deal of experience with the majors. I would mention that our CEO, Greg Johnson, and myself have known and worked together with each other for over 25 years, starting with Placer Dome that became Barrick. We were part of the co-founding team at Nova Gold, where we were very successful in developing projects and creating value for our shareholders. That is this proven track record that we see here that involves even Galore Creek project in the north central part of the British Columbia, where this project, we were able to develop a 11 billion pound copper equivalent resource with significant gold and silver as credits to that project. And the Galore Creek project really is one of the primary analogs to our La Plata project in Colorado. So we're going to parlay the experience that we gained through Nova Gold and on this project to help us help guide us through our value creation at La Plata. Just one quick note on our company. Metallic Minerals is also at a very optimal entry point in the Lassonde curve as a early stage resource company with the expectation of high resource growth over the next couple of years to really maximize our valuation to our shareholders. So this is something that I think you'll see and you'll learn as we talk about our assets here in the next couple of minutes. So a quick review of our three key assets. Our first key asset that we've already mentioned is our La Plata project in southwestern Colorado. We just announced a resource update recently that contains 1.2 billion pounds of copper, 17 million ounces of gold for over 1.3 billion pound copper equivalent resource in 147 million tons. And this, again, is our project. It's a porphyry copper system in southwestern Colorado, where we're actively drilling on the second of up to 5 deep holes to test high-grade offsets of drilling that we completed last year. Our second key asset is our Keno silver project in the high-grade silver-lead-zinc district, Keno Silver District in the north central part of the Yukon territories, where we have 100% ownership of a very large project, 171 square kilometers, next door to our brownfields neighbor Hecla, who has recently restarted mining operations at their Keno project with the expectation of full production by the end of this year. And we're working towards developing over 40 different targets, where we've got 4 or 5 of those that are ready for resource, and we're expecting an inaugural resource announcement by the end of the year on the Keno Silver project for us. Our third asset is really quite interesting. It's our Klondike alluvial production royalty portfolio. We, in January of this year, signed an agreement with a fellow by the name of Parker Schnabel of Little Flake Mining from the hit TV show Gold Rush on the Discovery Channel here in the States. He is a serious miner. He mined over $20 million worth of gold last year on his operation. He needed some new ground. We signed the agreement with him, and he began actively mining on the project in April of this year with the expectation to get a couple of thousand ounces due to his late start and the ability to grow that operation in future seasons. So we'll talk about each one of these more as we move forward. Just a reminder and a quick look at our La Plata project here, where we're looking at the backside or west side of the ridge, runs down the center of the project. We see alteration and mineralization at surface, which is really expressed as these various colors of yellow and orange that runs percent grade copper mineralization with PGE and gold and silver grades attached to that, nearly a kilometer away from where our current drilling is on our Allard resource area. Again, nearly a kilometer away over the ridge and down to the right-hand side. A key development in the last year on our La Plata project was the strategic investment by Newcrest, which we announced in May of 2023. This brought $6.3 million of capital into the company with the specific focus of advancing the La Plata project. There are warrants attached to this, which may help bring in an additional $6.5 million in the next couple of years following success of our current drill program. The interest generated by Newcrest came from the drilling that we completed last year in hole 2204 that we announced in February of this year, and followed up with a site visit to, a trip to PDAC convention in Toronto, where we had a number of the major companies lined up to watch to come visit us and see what kind of drill core we had announced there in February. 2204 held 816 meters of continuous mineralization at a grade of 0.41% copper equivalent. And the last 30 meters ran over 1.5% copper equivalent. And the last 5 meters ran 5% copper equivalent with significant platinum and palladium and gold grades that are not currently incorporated into our recent resource announcement. So we see a great opportunity to work with Newcrest, a lot of upside in our project at La Plata, and good results that we expect coming forward from our current drilling. But just a little more background. So the La Plata project is located in the southwest corner of Colorado at the southern end of the Colorado Mineral Belt, which is a very productive, historically productive district where over 50 million ounces of gold have been mined, 500 million ounces of silver have been mined, and 1.5 billion pounds of moly as well. And moly production continues at the Henderson and Climax mines in Colorado, run by Freeport-McMoRan, one of the largest mining companies in the world. And then, of course, gold production at Cripple Creek by Newmont, who is headquartered in Denver and is currently in the process of acquiring Newcrest, our current strategic partner. So we see that as a real opportunity for Newmont to grow its relationship with Colorado and apply their understanding of how to make sure we can develop projects moving forward in the state. Additionally, Colorado ranked 5th globally in terms of investment attractiveness in the recent Fraser survey of mining CEOs. And I think it's a very good place to be working, and we're really excited to be there with our La Plata project. Just a quick note that the La Plata is an alkaline porphyry copper deposit, which is a subtype of porphyry deposits in general. The alkaline systems generally have some of the highest and largest grade copper deposits with precious metal credits that are really engines to some of these larger companies. And you can see from this graph that some of the interest in the La Plata project has come from Newcrest, who is very experienced in mining these operations and understanding the context of an alkalic porphyry system, where they've had great success in block cave mining or underground methods of mining on these projects. And then, of course, our direct analog is the Galore Creek project here, run 50-50 by Teck and Newmont, where over 11 billion pounds of copper had been defined by NovaGold through our experience, our management team's experience. And we see that as an immediate analog with the project having the growth potential to eventually reach that level, if not higher. Quick review of our map, plan map of the Allard resource area. Now, the mineralization was found here in the late 1700s by the Spanish explorers. Developed, they found mineralization in veins, high-grade veins of silver, gold, and telluride that were mined by small miners in the 1850s through the 1940s. In the 1940s, those mines were shut down because of World War II. In the 50s, there was a miner staking rush, and companies like Rio Tinto and Freeport, or the progenitors of those companies, came into the district, discovered this copper, and worked the district for over 20 years, drilling roughly 50 holes and 15,000 meters of core in what's known as the Allard resource area, which is shown here on the map. They delineated a bit of high-grade copper, but they did not sample for the precious metals. And so we're expecting to see a higher amount in future resource estimates to the grade that would be credited from the gold and platinum and palladium that we're seeing in the current or more recent drilling. In 2204, in 2023, following our inaugural resource estimate and announcement in April, we drilled during the summer of 2023 to test extensions of that resource and drilled hole LAP 2204, shown here on the map, with the 800 meters of continuous mineralization at the far northeast end of the deposit, which indicates there is, as a result of this drilling, generated the interest, but shows an extensive amount of open ground for resource expansion and further testing of high-grade mineralization that we've seen in the bottom end of that hole. Hole 2204 was ended due to technical reasons in a significantly high-grade portion of the deposit. So our 2023 drilling, which is up to 5,000 meters, will be looking at testing extensions around that high-grade hole 2204, shown in the middle of the map here, with our new drilling shown in gray. And I can tell you at 2306, we're seeing similar types of rock porphyritic systems with continuous intervals of copper sulfides, and we're really excited to be able to move these results towards the market in the near future. So I just want to talk about our Keno Silver project as well. This is the famed signpost in the Keno Silver District, overlooking a part of our project. We're in the north central part of the Yukon territories, where there are lots of well-experienced mining companies currently active in the district. The Hecla is our brownfield neighbor, but also Victoria. Victoria Gold is mining on a 6 million ounce deposit right next door to the project as well. And then Banyan Minerals has defined a 6 million ounce deposit of gold in the district. So a very active place with good mineral endowment and good infrastructure for an area the size of California that has only 40,000 residents. Our adjacent brownfields partner, Hecla, acquired a company called Alexico Resources a little over a year ago. They've been putting money back into the district and working to restart this mill that is shown in the slide at roughly a 400 to 500 ton per day operation of very high grade silver and one of the highest grade silver producing districts in the world. Interestingly, they've got about 8 years of mine life, so they're continuing to do exploration very successfully. But one of the things that we offer in terms of metallic minerals as a brownfields neighbor is we're working to define resources in a much shallower environment that are potentially open pittable, so lower development costs for those resources. And again, this is the Keno Silver District, Hecla Mining's land shown in green, metallic minerals in orange, and the 4 areas that we're interested in advancing to a resource stage with an announcement before the end of the year are circled in the red dashed lines, some of which are as in holdings within the Hecla mining ground. So this district produced over 220 million ounces of silver historically, and currently has 120 million ounces of silver in resources. And we look to add to that with our announcement here in the near term. This is a picture of our Alluvial royalty gold project and the pit that was started in August by Parker Schnabel of Gold Rush Television, where we're working to support his activities and expect him to continue to mine in subsequent years to produce gold that provides us a 10 to 15% royalty on that production. And this is something that we see as a potentially scalable, moving up with additional operators to continue to increase that royalty flow back to metallic minerals, which will help offset our back office costs, but also help supplement our exploration costs. So just a quick look at some of the catalysts moving forward. A lot of work has happened since Metallic was really formed in 2016 with resource announcements and pending resource announcements and good discoveries, key discoveries as well. The primary catalyst in the short term are the announcement of our inaugural resource at our Keno Silver project, but also exploration results from our drilling at both La Plata and recently started drill program at our Keno Silver project. And then, hopefully more news or potentially more news on additional gold royalty agreements on our Klondike Alluvial gold royalty portfolio. Just a quick look at our capital structure, and then we'll wrap it up. 167 million shares issued and outstanding. We've got roughly $7.5 million in the bank. We've spent some of that down with our current drilling, and a great mix of shareholders, including Eric Sprott, who is our largest individual shareholder at 14.5%, and then Newcrest Mining at 9.5% with their recent strategic investment, and then management and associates owning 17% of the company. So again, I think the key takeaways from this are that you've got a junior, Canadian listed company and OTC listed company with 3 key assets at a market cap of around $50 to $60 million right now, in the right geologic systems that show significant scale and opportunity to be scaled up, with significant grade, that are tier 1 assets for their type of deposit, and a great leadership team, good investor base, good land positions, and the ability and know how to advance these projects quickly. So when the markets support us, I think you'll see a great deal of growth in our share price, and we're excited about the projects that we have and looking forward to sharing news on each of those projects as we go. And that's it for now, Magda. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. So just a questions. You mentioned, I'll start off with La Plata. You mentioned plans to include gold, platinum, palladium with additional drilling. So would that be for drilling going forward or past drilling as well?
Well, we think that we can use an algorithmic approach to applying a silver, gold, and platinum, palladium grades to the historic drilling, or at least populate the blocks that would be represented by that historic drilling, to allow the drilling that is completed this year to basically do an update of that resource that would include those metals. And it's significant because it's really about 50% of the value of the high-grade hole that we drilled last year.
Got it. Thank you. And you mentioned Colorado. What is the permitting environment like in the state?
Well, I think one of the key things about Colorado is some people it has a reputation, other people it has a different reputation. And what we're finding is a lot of acceptability in our area for the work that we're doing currently. We have gotten through permitting processes over the last few years without too much of a hurdle. 10% of our land is privately held and patented land. The 90% is on Forest Service land. So we're becoming very versed in the Forest Service process and working as closely with those people to make smooth applications and receipt of those permit abilities as we go.
And how many meters are you drilling this year at the site?
Well, right now, these are deep holes. So we're looking at what we initially considered a phase 1 5,000 meter drill program that might be followed by a phase 2. We're uncertain on the amount of time we'll have to really execute phase 2 at this point, but we're looking at roughly 5 to 6 holes at 900 to 1,300 meters deep each. And we'll see how that pencils out at the end. But our current hole is at 1,350 meters deep, and we're still in essentially continuous copper sulfide mineralization.
Wow. Right. And kind of switching gears to Keno Silver, the timing of the resource, is that still expected this year or no?
Yeah, I think we're working on the final details of that announcement and should have it here before the end of this year without any hiccups. And it's something that I think we're really proud of, and something that should represent probably multiple years of production for Hecla. And so I think in that sense it'll be significant, but we see it as a starter resource with the ability to really grow significantly as we continue exploration and make new discoveries, which we've been very successful at doing on that project to date.
Are you doing any drilling there this year or not?
We are. We just started this month, so we're a little late getting in, but we're doing some reclamation work, some drilling, and additional soil sampling to continue on a kind of a multi-phase approach. We've got 40 early stage targets. We've got 5 that are resource ready. So let's continue to add drill holes to areas that we can add resources, but also occasionally have the opportunity to test new targets for new discovery. But this year we're really focusing on the resource expansion, but also soil sampling to help further define some of these early stage targets so that perhaps next year we can get back in and test those for new discovery.
Yeah. And the royalty assets, do you kind of have a time frame for do you expect to start receiving these royalty proceeds at any particular time, or it's still up in the air?
We're as part of the agreement that we signed with Parker in January, we received a royalty prepayment. So we've already started to receive some of those funds. And as the mining goes on, we're getting our allocation, which we can take in raw gold and store for better gold prices or cash out or do with how we please. But some of that activity has already begun.
Wow, cool. And is there a forecast of ramp up of gold production? Like, do you know anything about plans?
Well, I think the potential, Parker's potential on the ground, last year he mined $20 million worth of gold from his ground. And this is, similar ground. It's really just the upstream continuation of the area that he was mining. And so we could see between 5,000 and 10,000 ounces in subsequent years, which I think would be really significant to Metallic when you look at it from the 10 to 15% royalty aspect.
For sure. It's definitely a bigger royalty than most. And just kind of wrapping up, what First Nation groups are in the region, especially with the Keno?
Well, at Keno, primarily it's the Nacho-Nyack-Dun and ND, and we have a good relationship, I believe, in working with them. We've supported a lot of their issues moving forward and look forward to continuing to work with them as well. So it's good.
And was the site affected by the fires at all this summer?
We didn't have any issues with the fires. It's actually been very good this year in terms of, our operations and our ability to operate, other than the delays that we had in the Klondike for rains and flooding earlier in the spring. So,
thank you. And just to wrap up, can you give us a bit of an overview of the news you expect as we kind of get to the end of the year?
Sure. Our current news flow is really expected to be the inaugural Keno resource estimate within the next several months. Our current drill program at La Plata will be producing results. We hope to be able to see some of those initial results by mid-October, and we'll be working to get that information out to the public as soon as we do. That news flow from this current drill program at La Plata will probably continue from mid-October through the first of the year. And then, we've just launched our Keno drill program, so probably see results from our Keno work by early next year.
Well, thank you, Scott. It sounds like there'll be lots of news to watch for over the next few months. Thank you for the update. Thank you for supporting the fundraiser as well. To all the companies, thank you for participating and supporting our fundraiser as well, especially given what's been happening this summer over the past few months. Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you. Take care.